So shall we start? We are discussing the syllabus of family law first. It consists of 6 modules. We discussed 2 modules earlier. First module deals with the nature and scope of family law, both Hindu law and Muslim law, nature and application of Hindu law and Muslim law. Second module deals with the marriage and matrimonial reliefs under Hindu law. So we are at the second module wherein we see the how concept of marriage is evolved, what are the essential conditions of valid Hindu marriage, what are the ancient form of Hindu marriage, then what are the concepts relating to valid and voidable marriages, what is the importance of custom attached to the marriages, then what are the consequences if there is a marriage with non-Hindu under Hindu law as well as under other laws, then registration of marriage, whether it is mandatory or not, and the effect of legitimacy of children. What will be the legitimacy of children if there is marriage, whether valid on the uh, validity of marriage? What is the impact of validity or voidability of marriage on the legitimacy of children born out of such marriages? Then we seen the next matrimonial remedy, that is remedy of divorce, wherein we have to see theories, grounds, customary divorce, effect of divorce, emerging trends in the divorce, bar to remarriage after divorce. Then we also seen what is nullity of marriage, judicial separation, repudiation, that is dissolution of marriage, restitution of conjugal right, and other relief granted by the court in matrimonial proceeding other than maintenance. So here up to this we had seen yesterday, I think. Then we are at the bar to matrimonial relief, whether there is any bar created to claim matrimonial relief, and we are discussing the meaning of bar. What is meant by bar? Because the word bar has different meaning in different context. If we speak about the association of advocate, it is also called as a bar. Say Bar Council of Maharashtra and Goa. That is one bar. If we look into the engineering, then bar is an iron rod. If we go to the restaurant, bar is a place where liquor is served, consumed. Again, here, bar in the sense, comment in chat box. The bar to matrimonial relief, the word bar is used here in the context of chat box is on. Bar to proceed further, bar to file an action. Similarly, bar to matrimonial relief, bar means comment in chat box. We listen the word bar first time. Is it so? Had you listened the word bar for the first time? Whether chat box is not working? Is it working? Comment in chat box, yes or no. You may comment that we listen for the first time the word bar. We don't know what is the meaning of bar in this context. Whether chat box is active or not? Yes, no, yes. In the context of matrimonial, first time means bar. Bar means any other answer. Oh, in the context of matrimonial, we listen bar word first time. Leave about matrimonial in other. Bar to file a case. In that sense, bar is a prohibition created by law. Bar is an obstacle created by law. So, bar to matrimonial relief in the sense The law itself prohibits certain person from claiming certain reliefs if those situations are in existence. That is called as a bar. Bar means prohibition created. So if the time is given for filing any case, say 2 years from the cause of action, you did not file the case. After 2 years, you wish to file a case, what will happen? The lapsing of 2 years will create a bar to file a case. So, time barred relief. If the time is created, that time elapsed, your remedy lapsed. This kind of instance is called as a bar. If you compromise your case by way of compromise degree, you cannot go into the court. You cannot file an appeal over compromise degree because bar is created. So bar is a prohibition created by law from having access to court or claiming certain relief. Is it clear now what is meant by bar? So we have to observe here what are the bar to claim matrimonial relief. Then we have to see the jurisdiction of court under the Hindu Marriage Act, whether you have your presentation in front of you. If not, from tomorrow. Because if you are accessing from the mobile, same problem will be there. Either you can get the print of the presentation, keep it in front of you, or if you are having laptops, open the presentation on laptop and listen the lecture through mobile. These are the options available because the laptop is not working. Voice is there, but it is not reaching you. So, okay. The next point we have to study is jurisdictions of the court under the Hindu Marriage Act and Family Courts Act. See, jurisdictions are conferred for matrimonial reliefs. What courts are competent to entertain your applications, entertain your petitions? So, the civil court as well as family court, where the family courts were established. Say, for example, in Ahmednagar, 2 years back, family court is established. Otherwise, prior to that, the residents of the Ahmednagar or those who are having cause of action in Ahmednagar have to file a suit in civil court claiming matrimonial reliefs. So, both courts are having jurisdictions. Now we will then in that point we will see which court and under what circumstances have jurisdictions under Hindu Marriage Act as well as the family code. Jurisdiction means, comment in chat box, jurisdiction means this and this, it is a legal word. Jurisdiction. I think those who participated in moot court, they were aware what jurisdiction is. Yes, legal power or authority. Good. Within that area, local jurisdiction, Karyakshetra, yes. The power and authority of court to hear and decide particular dispute. Even in the context of Priya Chakravarti, if you read the judgment, the main issue is whether the Bihar police has jurisdiction to register a FIR of suicide which was taken place or some offences which was taken place in the state of Maharashtra and how CRPC deals with that. So jurisdiction in that sense, which court either territorial or relating to subject matter have jurisdiction to decide particular case. So that jurisdictions we have to see under this point that which family court or which civil court is empowered to hear and decide the cases relating to family matters, relating to whatever remedies which are will be claimed like nullity, divorce, maintenance, in all aspects, which court is competent to decide particular case. So that we will see in these two, particularly second module. Now we will go to third module. Now, as second module is exclusively available to Hindu law, similarly, third module is exclusively available for Muslim law. So here we have to see the concept of marriage under Muslim personal law and matrimonial reliefs available under Muslim law. So, we have to see what is the pre-Quranic background of marriage, that is called as nikah under Muslim personal law. So we have to see here what is nikah, then nature and classification of marriages under Muslim law. Marriages are of different kinds, broadly two kinds, contractual and permanent marriages. Nikah and muta marriage it was referred as, particularly in Shia community. Then we have to see the what are the formalities required for solemnization of marriage under Muslim personal law. In other words, essential conditions or requirements for the nikah or Muslim marriage. Then similarly, legal effect. If the nikah is valid, what are the legal effect of that marriage on the parties, their children's, etc. properties. Then muta marriage is one of the kind of marriage under Shia community called as contractual, in other words, and stipulation in such marriage. Then we have to see the guardianship in marriage with reference to Shia and Sunnis. Now, this is a unique concept which is not available under Hindu marriage. So, there cannot be a guardianship in marriage. Guardian cannot give their minors in marriages, their minor children in marriages. But under Muslim law, there was a provision for guardianship in marriages. So that provision we have to see in module 3. Then one another concept which is unique to Muslim law, we doesn't find that concept in either any law, neither in Christian, Parsi, or even in Hindu law, the concept of meher, or it is called as a dower under in English. So what that dower is an amount payable by the husband to the wife at the time of marriage or even thereafter, that we will see when it is to be paid, what kind of dowers. So nature and kinds of dower and right of wife in case of unpaid dower. If the dower is not paid, what are the remedies available to the wife, whether she can find a suit against husband, how she can recover unpaid amount of dower, that we are going to see. Then the nullity of marriage in Muslim law, on what ground marriage can be declared as null and void. Null and void means no marriage solemnized at all. Hmm? Even restitution of conjugal rights, this remedy can be claimed under Muslim law also. Then one another concept which we didn't find in any other law, that is option of puberty. So puberty is an age wherein the parties to the marriage becomes able to procreate the children. So that's what the Muslim personal law prescribe the puberty as one of the requirement for the solemnization of marriage. So what that puberty is, at what age that puberty can be attained, that we will see there. And the other concept we see in marriage, dower. Now third concept is concept of talak, or what we call as a divorce or dissolution of marriage. That we have to study here. So what is meant by talak? Meaning of talak we are going to see. Then what provisions are made available for Muslim women under dissolution of Muslim Marriage Act, because that is the codified legislations wherein right to divorce is conferred upon the Muslim woman. Earlier, the concept of divorce is unilateral in Muslim law. Only husband is entitled to divorce his wife. But after this enactment, that is dissolution of Muslim Marriage Act 1939, wife is also entitled to give divorce to his husband on certain grounds. That grounds we will see in this legislation. Then remarriage. What about the concept of remarriage under Muslim law? Remarriage in the sense, in two sense, remarriage is. One is the remarriage between the same couple, those who divorced with each other, whether they can marry and remarriage with different person after divorce. So these two concepts we have to see. If the remarriage is to be solemnized with different person, then only iddat period is to be observed. What iddat period is, that we will see there. But if the parties want to remarry again, those who earlier married, divorced, and again they want to remarry with each other, then there is another concept which has to be observed. That is called as the concept of halala, wherein they have to marry with some other person, take divorce from them, and then they can marry. So this concept of halala is challenged into the court, and the petition is pending whether it is violating fundamental right, etc. So we will see there. And prohibition to marry in certain cases. Here also prohibited degrees of relationships are there, wherein two persons cannot marry with each other if they are so related to each other. So that we will see there in module 3. Then we will move towards module 4, that is marriage and matrimonial reliefs among Parsis, Christians, and under Special Marriage Act. So three different aspects were covered. Two communities are covered in module 4, Parsi and Christian. In module 1, 2, 3, we see the law relating to Hindu and Muslim. Henceforth, the law relating to Christian, Parsi, and Special Marriage Act is covered. So similar here also, same things we have to see, but of Christian and Parsi. That is how marriage is solemnized, how it is dissolved, what about registration of marriage in these communities, how nullity is, judicial separation, restitution of conjugal right, remarriage, etc. That marriage under Indian Christian Marriage Act, what are the conditions, how they can take divorce. One thing to be noted is there were two legislations for Christian community for marriage and divorce. For marriage, they are having separate law, that is Indian Christian Marriage Act of 1872, and for divorce, they are having different law, that is Indian Divorce Act 1869. Please take a note of this fact that Indian Divorce Act 1869 is applicable to Christian community. So, divorce of a Hindu couple is to be taken place as per Hindu Marriage Act or Special Marriage Act, but the Indian Divorce Act is available to Christian community. So, how their marriage will be dissolved under this act, that we will see there. Then one another legislation we will see in module 4, that is Special Marriage Act. Now special, the word itself suggests that what marriages will be solemnized under Special Marriage Act, because as per personal law of each community, the requirement is two persons, those who proposes to marry, must belong to the same religion. If two Hindus want to marry under Hindu Marriage Act, both must be Hindu. Similarly, two Muslims desires to marry under Muslim personal law, and likewise. But here, the Special Marriage Act is on the basis of Constitution created certain exceptions to the personal law. So, what will happen if there is marriage under Special Marriage Act? Comment. Who can marry under Special Marriage Act? Are you listening me? Who can marry under Special Marriage Act? Whether two Hindu can marry under Special Marriage Act? Comment in chat box. Anyone from any community? Yes. My question is whether two person of same community, whether they can marry under Special Marriage Act. For example, two Hindus. A is a Hindu, B is a Hindu, decides to marry under Special Marriage Act. What will be the fate of such marriage? Whether they can marry. Earlier you answered, Rishikesh, anyone from any community. Yes, if anyone from any community, then no doubt, even two from same community, they can marry under Special Marriage Act. So Special Marriage Act is not exclusively made for different communities. Even if two Hindu decides to marry under Special Marriage Act, they can marry. What will be the consequences of such marriage later? That we will see. But take the notes that even two Muslims can marry under Special Marriage Act. Only form of marriage will be different. Under Hindu law it is different, under Muslim law it is different, and under Special Marriage Act it is a different form of marriage. Only that will be the difference. But answer is yes, two Hindu, two Muslims, or one Hindu, one Muslim, one Christian, any. As per the constitution, right to marriage is a part of right to life, or it is a part of freedom of expression. So, freedom of choice, etc., that we will see there. What are the cases wherein court held these aspects? Even the issues relating to marriage among transgenders and validity of such marriages in India, that also we are going to see. Then remedies, etc., available. Then one another aspect we have to see here is marriages of citizens outside India under the Foreign Marriages Act. So one different law is there. If the Indian couples want to marry into another country, they can marry under Foreign Marriages Act. Now this is also a secular legislation. So here they can marry. Then how their divorce will took place. Then one another aspect is live in relationship and same sex relationship, whether legally recognized, and what is the fate of such relationship in India and abroad, whether they can claim matrimonial remedies, whether same sex persons can legally marry, and the live in relationship and its legal recognition in India, that we are going to see. Then module 5 deals with the alimony and maintenance. This module, these two modules we will discuss tomorrow. Law on adoption and guardianship is a module 6, and alimony maintenance is a module 5. So today we will discuss these, sorry, tomorrow we will discuss these two modules, and from day after tomorrow we will start with the actual teaching as per module. But prior to that, I will post the presentation in Google Classroom. You get it download and put it in front of you, because if we go in this way, then only you can able to see me only, and presentation will not be there. So try to put presentation in front of you, so it will be get easy for you to understand these aspects. So okay, I am leaving the call now.